Oh, a daily ramble. So I don't know if people are aware of a recent sting that took place in London. Mr. Ivor Kaplan, ex-Labour minister, ex-minister for defence of all things in Britain, ex-minister for defence, arrested on a sting where he's trying to. I don't know the age of the person, but usually they're around like 13, 14, something like that anyway. And the things, if you listen to it, it's the usual spiel about why they were trying to meet up with the younger person. It's usually like, well, I wanted to talk them out of doing something, or something like this. Usually the first one they go to, and usually it's the foreign lads that say, oh, it was hacked, my computer was hacked. That wasn't me trying to meet up with them. Yet they're there where they said they would be to meet the person, so it's pretty obvious. But I know, I giggle now and again. I don't mean to, I know that it's an evil thing that they're doing, but a lot of this stuff used to be, hidden or swept under the rug. Sure, I go back to even my mum's generation. My mum's generation you're talking like 60s, the 60s, 70s type. Sorry, 60s, 70s age group. And I often talked about. She often talked about. My mum was quite open with all that stuff, as if to prepare me for adulthood. In a way it does, and they might say, well, we need to start handing this over to the state, in a way, teaching them in school and all about all this, which I think is wrong. I think it should be the parents that inform their children. They are the guardians, the parents are the guardians of the children, so it shouldn't be nothing by the state should be interfering with that. Some of you might say, well, it's not all parents are like you or like your ma, but I mean, it far outweigh the consequences than the state looking after all of that stuff. Trust me on that. Well, you know that because you know what the state is like, or the establishment. But yeah, the Ivor Kaplan thing. Only really it's weird that the timing of it, the timing of it as well is after all that stuff started with the gangs again, I mean that's been going on for years, many years, maybe even since maybe even before the 60s and 70s, the likes of Edward Heath and all them, they were all involved in it. Go look into Pie or Elm Guest House, See, I know all these things because I looked into them, and once again, a kind of defense for people when it comes to all this stuff is they always say, well, why bother looking into it, you're only going to bring yourself down. No, it didn't bring me down. It made me more knowledgeable. It didn't bring me down. The only thing it did was made me more knowledgeable about all these fucking, pardon the French, for all these Peterfoils who run everything, the Labour Party, the amount of people in the Labour Party in England alone, and now I see as well, because I would like to think that I had something to do with this part, where a lot of Irish people then were asking, here, you're doing all this inquiry about England and Britain and all, what about Ireland? We're sure we have some of them here in Ireland as well, and sure enough we do, I always talk about that Mary Boyle story, that poor girl who went missing. I'm sure that there was a couple of Fianna Gaelers involved in that. I must go back and re-look into her story. There's been a few books and all written about that girl. So what I was doing was I was going into as many posts by Elon as I could when he was talking about all that stuff, about the graping gangs in England, and I kept, saying, going at Elon Musk, so he got tagged in it. He was already tagged in it, but I tag him in it twice, and then I say and then I tagged the normal Irish nationalists that are talking about all this stuff, like Nick O'Keefe and Philly Dwyer and Ninja Knight. I tagged them all, or as many as I know, and I'm like, yeah, can you share this one as well? It's like, I'm nearly sure the Irish establishment had something to do with this girl's disappearance, and I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more, but of course all of it just got kind of swept, and there's a reason. And you're going to find a lot more people are saying this now. There's a reason that they don't want any inquests to happen, is because most of them are involved in it. Like a murderer is not going to investigate himself, is he? Kind of defeats the purpose. It's like when they're talking about having an inquest, say in England, and they turn it down. That's like asking Jimmy Savile to investigate himself. It's just, he's not going to do it. They're not going to do it. The only thing I can think of it being made or kept in the sort of forefront of people's minds, if more and more victims come out, and now they all have a platform now in the form of Twitter. We can all get on there and say what we want, so I'd encourage more victims of this stuff to tell your story. Come out and tell your story. I see a lot more of them now. It is giving a lot more people a bit more confidence to come out and talk, because you see a lot more of them on the likes of Twitter and Rumble. They are actually coming out and doing. You need more. Just keep it coming. Keep the momentum going with it. Yes, they might. The powers that be might do something drastic now, just in the sense of trying to take the heat off themselves. So be wary of some big false flag coming to take the heat off for a bit. I'm sorry, I got distracted there. What else did we have happen? There's a lot fucking going on, isn't there? Anyone else notice as well? Everyone's bleeding sick. Everybody. Like, I've even an uncle who never gets anything. Like, he's 100% healthy, and I was only talking to him the other day, and he's bleeding retching. Like, he feels like he's dying. He's that sick from, and I'll admit, that thing that I had there over the Christmas, I felt like I was dying. There's a hell of a lot of people sick. You could call it like a bit of fallout from everything they've done over the last 4 years to us, in the sense of, like, keeping people apart. And now that when people get something, it's going to be worse, because it's like that age-old thing when someone gets something, you get it, and it kind of just filters out after a few days or whatever. Now when people get something, it's like 10 times worse, and it's sticking around for longer. So no matter what you take, I was popping Solpadeine and everything, and it just wasn't doing anything. Lemsips, the whole bleeding lot. I was banging everything into me. One thing that did help me was two hot whiskies a day. I was taking 2 hot whiskies a day, and that was kind of actually giving me more relief, on the chest and everything. But yeah, that's something else to be keeping an eye on. Is all this, everybody's getting fucking sick. I'm still a little bit blocked up from it, but like I'm over the worst of it, thank God. Little mini cough now and again, nothing as bad as it was. So there's that one. Jeez, I had loads to talk to there, and then see, as soon as I turned the camera on. Going back to the first thing I was talking about with the inquiry and the stuff, that definitely needs to be something. Something definitely needs to bring attention to Ireland with this as well, you know, because Ireland has its fucking history with this in the form of like Tuam, you know, the Tuam babies and all this, who are used for experiments, by the way. Like, people never go that far with it. They just say, it was horrible, it was like abuse and all. It was more than just fucking abuse that was going on. They were doing a hell of a lot more than that. Actually using the children for experiments and all, you know. But see, majority of people wouldn't know that, because they always stop themselves from looking into it, because they think if they look into it, then it's going to make them miserable. Do you know? I do think, like, make yourself miserable. It's a bit fucking selfish, that, isn't it? Do you know? Very selfish outlook on life. I liken it to when they always say, like, charity starts at home, in the sense of if you have a population of people that are like healthy and clear-minded, you know, and aren't afraid to like look beyond the veil, it's gonna build up people that have more confidence in themselves, you know, all this stuff. So just leave them to it. If they want to look into it, let them look into it, you know. It's like that the fear's been drilled into them that if they look at it, then they become it or something. I don't know. It's something ridiculous. Some sort of defense mechanism that's been installed in them. I quote Jesse Peterson in the sense of, he's like, you know, step number one with everything, any information that he's giving out or putting out there, step number one, he says, go and forgive your parents. You know, that's what he says. Go and forgive your parents. And you might think, oh well, what do you mean by that? Like, you know, go and forgive your parents. Because on a grand scale of things, the majority of the world isn't educated on this stuff, or even know about this stuff that goes on. So what he's saying is, they didn't prepare you in that sense, you know. So when like news like that comes across you, yeah, it's shocking, but they won't believe it. You know, it's too shocking that they won't believe it. So in a way, they haven't prepared enough people, or enough parents haven't prepared enough people for this grand unveiling that we're seeing now in the world. Go and look at some, like, I know he talks a lot of Bible quotes and stuff, Jesse Peterson, but the man's just fucking, he just hits the nail on the head, you know. A black conservative in America, and it drives the bleeding NGOs and the lefties and Antifa, it drives them mad. Like, they call him Uncle Tom and all this stuff, you know. They can't figure out why. Why is this black man, like, you know, why does he praise white people, you know? And it's not as if he goes, well, sometimes he does, but I think it's just to wind them up a bit. But he's not going out of his way to praise white people, you know. He just knows that, look, we're all fucking human. There are, of course, some cultures around the world who have more bad people in it, only because of the way they're brought up and the way the culture is itself, you know. He does say, when he's talking about black people, he goes like, it's not all, but a good majority of them, you know. He says it like that. So he knows, like, he knows what he's doing with his words. And anyway, put it that way, like, he's clever in that sense. But I love listening to his radio show. Yeah, he does a lot of, like, he asks like a biblical question of the day and all this stuff, but it's very thought-provoking questions, and I love that, you know. Use anyone that watches my live know that I love questions. Like, I just answer questions all day. I love them, because it means that people want to, like, learn, you know. People want to seek answers. That's what questioning things is all about, isn't it? But I'll leave that there for now. I'll do another little video later. I might stitch it in with this one.